Popping up. Uh, all right, we're good to go. Good evening, good evening. This is Nadine O, and I'm here with Don Stevens from Don Stevens Art, and this is Let's Paint and Draw Along. Hey, Don, how you doing today? Don, can you hear me? I believe I lost Don. Well, hopefully we'll be able to get his audio back up real soon. My name is Nadine O, and you are joining Let's Paint and Draw Along. It's a beautiful Sunday. And first of all, if you're joining us for the first time, please give us a wave, say hi. We want to welcome you here. Um, and if you are returning and you have been following us, I want you to take this time to like this video. We appreciate it. It helps us, make it through the ether and connect with other people. So today, this week was an interesting week, Don. Can you hear me? Um, we were while we're figuring that out, I went to a retirement party and it was at my old job, which I retired. And the interesting thing was, everyone was saying how they've been watching these videos, but they haven't been commenting. So I just need you folks to just comment or put a heart in the video just to let us know that what we're saying is connecting with you in some way. And a number of the folks were saying, well, I'm not really an artist, but I find your conversations about art and perfection and perception and all of that really interesting. And so I was just like, I was jazzed about that because if we're reaching an audience that doesn't even believe they can draw, then the potential is just endless if we could just get them to pick up a pen and paper and just doodle, like bring out their inner child or something like that. That's what I think is would be just so amazing. I mean, because hey, if you the kind of sort that would go to a bar and then you're passing time and you're sitting there with a pencil or a pen and a napkin and you're doodling, it's the same thing. It's you're creating, and it's really the creative process. And I could tell you, I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for my path crossing Don's. And, and that's what I think is so amazing about artists who are in it. I mean, 24/7, 365 days, 24 hours in a day, all of that. And it just, wow, I'm just like jazzed about it. And I don't have to go to a museum for that. I know that's kind of lazy, but being in a museum can be inspiring, but mostly when I walk in a museum, I'm kind of at awe, you know, and looking at the works of people from years and years, you know, pedigrees up there, recognition up there. Um, don't even compare myself to their work, but when I look at artists of today, that people that you can actually physically touch, it's inspiring to hear their journey. And so that's what I think is absolutely incredible. So we are streaming on Facebook, we're streaming on Rumble, we're streaming on Twitch, we are streaming on YouTube. And we're just having a grand old time. And if you're seeing us right now, just give us a like. We really want to know that you are connecting with us because you have a desire or an interest in diving into art. So with that said, um, I was just looking back at a couple of things. One of the things was the work we did last week. Well, we did a lot of talking, so sorry for talking art. That's kind of like our line. And and then we worked with a couple of concepts. I'm gonna see if I can switch over. And Don, so that you know your board's looking good for sure, but I am not hearing you yet, so I will continue to um, share share my thoughts. Um, I'm going to switch the cameras. So let's see. All right. All right, so here you go. So this is the one that was at the tail end of our lesson, actually. I thought that was kind of fun, this whole concept of time and playing along with that. And there were little things like showing movement here, putting little dotted lines. I put some hearts there because I was like, oh, this is when I'm happiest at this time. And then playing with military time, thinking about money when you make money. Um, and this is a hint of that. When I might be going to sleep, zeros and ones. I've got working my way through all of this, which I think is quite interesting for sure. But there was a lot of little neat things, and then this layering aspect, and this all coming from the concept of a clock that you might have in your house. And I thought that was totally awesome. Totally, totally awesome. Now, let me see if I can go to another image. Let's see here. Okay. Over here is the whiteboard. I have behind me. Let's see. Anyway, oh, it looks like you can see my hair. Um, so these were a couple other something from nothings. And, you know, is it really a big deal? Do you really need to know how to draw exactly? I got a lot of stuff going on here. These were like doodles, things you find around your house, that kind of thing, playing along with things, a Sharpie marker, Wi-Fi. There's Wi-Fi in a house, some grapes, a clock. We got that time thing going on. Another different kind of like alarm clock, another mouse over there in the corner, brush, playing with lines there and other designs, more Wi-Fi, little paintbrush roller. And then this one, keys, like the key to life, the key to everything, brushes and
It was all about coming out your pocket. I hear you going. It sounds good, but it was all about what was around your world and what was coming out your pocket or your purse
oh,
on
you
that.
sound good. The level
Yeah,
is good and everything. Your mic sounds good.
never had a sound problem. You just misunderstood. I had a customer here that I had to, see out.
Okay, no worries. But now
Yeah.
now we hear you good. And everybody, this Don Stevens.
Okay.
Don Stevens art. And yeah, so I was just, while that was going on, I was going back in memory lane, down memory lane, and it's just talking about how it's been so fun, so much fun, making something from nothing, and also, talking about that process. I don't know if you heard the part where I said I went to a retirement party, and some of my old coworkers, my work fam, were talking about how they watch the videos and they don't comment. And I'm like, I need you guys to say hi. But they're like, we're not artists, but we just love the conversation. And I'm like, love that. Love that. We're connecting with people, even who aren't even thinking they are an artist or they can create. But yet they do create, whether it's the what's in their yard, you know, uh tattoos, on their body, to like, I don't know, cutting somebody's hair, all of that. I just thought it was just really quite interesting.
That's been the story thus far.
It sure has.
I'm not going to sit here and play around with it. It's been that way since the start.
Yes.
Then I got on my list, and a lot of people came from my list, including a couple of family members that are far off in different states. You know what I mean? A couple of people that knew me through other people, they started to come on and call or to at least look. And so this is what people do. They'll look at the video, but they'll try to say that they're not an artist because they're living in fear. Now I'm just gonna say it now, since I know you're watching the videos, stop letting your fear win the day.
Right.
Stop worrying about whether or not you're gonna look some type of way. What's the most important thing? The most important thing is for you to create. So I don't care what your occupation is, you must create.
You
If you
must
can't,
create.
yeah, if you can't handle directness, then that may be the issue then.
Hmm.
But you not, how would you say, leaving something or leaving a comment at least, kind of starts to seem kind of bad because did you just tell Nadine that just to tell her that? Oh yeah, I watch your videos, and then you probably name one off that you could probably see real quick, and then thought that would suffice.
Hmm.
Could that be? How many of you are really honest? If you really watch the video, when you watch this video, or if you're watching live now, why don't you just leave a comment? Not asking you to pull out a piece of paper and do some artwork. If
Hmm.
you like the rhetoric that we're talking about, or if you like the conversations and art that we talk about, then why not participate?
Hmm.
I come to you all. I come to you all. I draw the line now, and now I'll be the bad guy. Why aren't you commenting? Come on.
Hmm.
Tell a person right then and there, creator right then and there, oh yeah, I watch videos. I just don't leave a comment. Oh, okay. Then we should be seeing comments today since you just
Hmm.
saw Nate.
It,
So if
it
you
could be
just saw
just facts,
Nate,
truth,
no,
truth to power. Way to
well, yeah,
go. You know.
yeah. Well, the whole thing is fear.
Hmm.
So whatever you're fearing, you need to let it go. Perfection is a lie, repetition is the truth.
Hmm.
Every being is a creative. Why? Because you have to live. In order for you to live, you must create. I don't separate. It's not just some feel good for me,
Right.
everyone. Me, it's an actual fact that this is the glue of humanity, the glue of society, the glue of existence. How would you say?
Hmm.
Uh, because if you don't do it, then what are you? You're
Hmm.
not an automaton. You're not just a robot.
Hmm.
So what are you if you're saying that you don't create when you do create? You just don't give yourself credit for creativity. Let's see, another one is you just don't respect creativity because you think it exists someplace else other than yourself.
Right.
You might project that on others. Well, project it on yourself or
Hmm.
project it on the wall so you can examine it. But don't take it from other people's existence because every human being is a creator, is an artist, is an
Mm.
expressor. You must express, even when you're telling your little white lies, when you're in the kitchen cooking, or when you're
Hmm.
thinking about the type of plants to put in, or how to decorate your home or adorn your home. These are
Hmm.
all creative modes. These are all expressive modes.
Hmm.
Some. I think it's time now to let go of that idea that all people are not artists. You need to let that go and understand. Yeah, we're all artists who just express it in different ways. It's a variety of ways you can express your creativity.
Right.
Still, it's all labeled underneath the idea of being an artist, a creative.
Hmm.
And the other one is for everybody that's come out in the videos too as well. Are you a creation? This is a question that you need to ask yourself. Are you a creation? If you are a creation, that means you must create.
Must create.
Yeah. Now, if you don't think you're a creation, then that's on you. Then now you have to, you know what your work is. You got to figure out what you are on a base level. You know what I mean? To understand why you must create.
Mhm.
You know, another one is, are you creating things to become something or to become noticed? You know what I mean? By doing pieces for dogs and other creatures and things like this. No. If somebody says yes, then you have to realize that there's a human being behind that, because if the human being didn't house the creature, then how are you getting paid or getting any restitution or getting any notoriety in the situation? The animal can't give it to you.
Mhm.
So whether, I had to argue that with a couple of people before, but the whole thing is that you're doing creative or you're creating for other human beings or yourself or human beings around you. However you're doing it for other human beings to look and take notice.
Mhm.
So you might as well, look at that reality. If somebody has something to rebut, they're not feeling the premise, then hey,
Right.
leave a comment. I'll be glad to comment back at you, talk to you.
Oh, thanks to Olga over in down in Florida. She gave a thumbs up. Appreciate that, Olga.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
So,
talking about.
mhm.
She's an amazing photographer, and she really helped me out a lot when I was working out in the field, when I was doing TV long, long time ago, like only a few months ago. But anyway, yes. So thank you, Olga. Yeah, so Don, I was just checking the this social media and the live shots. So creating something from nothing. Um it could go on forever. We could just keep creating.
That's the whole key.
That's the whole thing. Now, the last couple of times we've been doing things, it's a little bit more abstract, wouldn't you say? Abstract expressionist?
No,
No? How would you
identifiable pieces.
say again?
You got identifiable stuff on the page.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, well, then I guess I'm looking at abstract.
No, you're not taking into consideration what we've been talking about those type of things.
Okay.
You're still just like most other people sometimes, sorry to say.
No, don't apologize because the first thing I'm thinking, it could be abstract even if you can identify it. Like, oh,
Oh,
that's
but
blue
then that's why
paint.
you didn't listen to what it was I was saying.
Okay.
How is it subjective if you can identify it?
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
That's what I'm trying to say. I mean, come on, man. I'm not just saying this stuff just to throw it in the wind.
Mm-hmm.
Not listening to the fan either.
Mm-hmm.
All realities, think about how things come to be in our world.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody thinks art is just recreation, just a place where you can just have these fart moments where you can just have a burst of what we would call creativity, putting something down. But what is the
Yes.
truth of creativity? It's not to be played with and mocked. It's your life. How do you
Yes.
think style got made? By somebody sitting around playing around, just throwing
Mm-hmm.
any number together and saying, "Ooh, look, I made a house because my heart needed to feel good."
Mm-hmm.
So that whole idea of just feel good art and feel good for no specific reason, I don't see existing. It doesn't really exist. That's just somebody in an emotional state.
Yeah.
Art is so much more important than that, and that's what I stand for. Not just because, oh, I went to high school for it and two different other institutions for it. You know what I mean? No, it's because it's always been my everyday, and then I was able to see it. It's in
Mm-hmm.
every being's life. every day. Everything we deal with started off on somebody's drawing board to come to life. Everything we deal with started off on somebody's drawing board. You got
Hmm.
an echo for some reason. Everything we do every day.
Hmm.
You got an echo.
Yeah, I'm fixing it.
Oh, so
Yep.
yeah, I mean, it's not just for those reasons. Yeah, when you're doodling, yeah, but who really doodles in a bar? Not many people do that anymore because of these tablets and everything. So what you will see is somebody tucked away in a corner every now and then. How would you say, loosely ink drawing or pencil drawing or
Hmm.
watercolor
Hmm.
odd moment. Other than that, you see people taking pictures. You don't
Right.
even really see people taking pictures with 35, what we believe is 35 millimeter cameras anymore. Everybody's
Hmm.
taking it with type of other device. Everything we deal with started off on somebody every day.
Hmm.
Everything we deal with started off on somebody every day. That's why it should everybody should feel like they can create even more now. But now you see how people are even more so running away from it because of their ideas and stringent ideas of what perfection is.
Hmm.
And perfection is not what everybody thinks it is. Perfection is
Yeah.
perception.
Yeah, that's the big one.
Yeah, it'll always be. Perfection is perception.
Hmm.
You know, how did I perceive? How perceptive have I been to be able to see this situation, seeing this individual or person, or seeing this thing at act, to be able to say, wow, that's in a perfect state
Hmm.
because it worked out all its kinks and stuff like that. No, we're not saying it like that. We
Right.
say it as far as a status. Oh, you're the shit. You're the bomb. You're perfect. There's
Hmm.
nothing wrong. And that's not true. Every human being has a mental problem. Every human being, I'll say it again, every human being has a mental issue, mental problem.
I
Yeah, you gotta laugh. I was waiting for some type of response because people
was
don't.
like, I had to change cameras because I wanted y'all to see my face. That was
Yeah, we all got mental issues. We don't want to think we do. We all got them.
we got something.
Yeah, if it's not, then how did all these mental issues become to be?
Hmm.
You know, and where do they see them and act at?
Yeah.
You know, and who studies that? You know, that's why you have sociologists, you know, psychologists, people like this
Hmm.
that study human to human actions, you know,
Hmm.
culture and things like this. But a lot of people don't see it as that anymore because we lost that taste of wanting to be a tradition or what tradition can be. So that very idea of that is challenged, and that comes right down to the art then at that point,
Right.
you know. And that's why a lot of times, like how I say, you don't want somebody to have a real true traditionalist observation because that goes counter to everything that's going on today.
Hmm.
You know, like, you know, I got turned down from teaching a couple anatomy classes because I refuse to say that there's more than two genders. There's not nothing more than two genders. You may get a third if there was a high number of hermaphrodites out there.
Right. Wow, they turned you down because you challenged that? The-
Yeah, or not necessarily challenge it. I didn't accept it.
wow.
These are things that you're going to start seeing. You know, a certain type of. I don't want to say Gestapo because it's not to those levels of depths just yet. But what I'm
Hmm.
saying is how they're using certain small things to cause divisions in society. Things are
Hmm.
relevant, prevalent now. So now when you look, you have to have certain conversation and be willing to stand on it. And I'm just one of those that's not willing to just look at that. I mean, yeah, you know, everybody can have space to do what they feel they need to do as far as creativity is concerned. But when
Hmm.
we come to actual facts or concrete things that happen in our world, you have to stand, you know, a little strong on that. Now, I'm not talking about, you know, things you're looking around and you're saying, oh, you know, this, that. No, you look and you see things that are similar. You
Mm-hmm.
see things that are exact to be what it is. You see two different franchise. You don't see a third necessarily, not unless you're researching or you're in college
Mm-hmm.
or you're dealing in those areas and arenas of debauchery at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So then if you're in there, you see it, it's like, no, a man can never be a woman
Wow. You know what's
and never
crazy?
a woman
Just as you
either.
was just as you were saying that, I looked up, I did a Google search, um, animals that are both genders. And there were like 10 that came up. Bearded dragon, clownfish, some kind of green tiger like Rossi, WRASSE, banana slug, ooh, um, whiptail lizard, cuttlefish, um, parrotfish, garter snake, blackfin guppy, frog. They actually so change genders, I guess, to do whatever. I don't know,
No,
but
it's, you can't really say it like that. When you bringing that stuff up like that, why do they have those 10 on a list? Because they're single cell amoeba-like creatures.
mhm,
So is a human a single cell amoeba-like creature?
no,
Thank you. So then how can it be multi-sex? The most it can be is three. If something happens and it gets crossed up in the womb, you have
uh-huh,
what we call a hermaphrodite. It has a little bit of both. It's
right,
called instances. Then you have definite female where we all start off at, and then you have the fallen cell or the fallen ones,
mm-hmm,
us, the men, the guys.
mm-hmm,
That's what it is. If everybody wants to play with it, this is not me saying this. Go and look at procreation.
mm-hmm,
Show me where there's another 300 genders. Show me, please, for real.
mm-hmm,
We need to come out of that type of thought. I'm not going to call it nonsense to disrespect people and to mess
right,
up our algorithm. But
right,
what I will say is that we need to become truly observant and not really fall for certain things that's not really appearing as what it is.
mm-hmm,
So meaning, as far as we know, when we come into this universe through the Pacific the Vesica Pisces, you know what I
mm-hmm,
mean, through there, and we get our suit, you know what I mean, and when we come in and we put 10 toes down, you see what we call male and you see what we call female,
mm-hmm.
so you know,
And
you
there's a
know.
doctor there deciding which sex we are, marking it down.
Well, you don't need the doctor. This is what I'm saying. This is before all of that.
Mm-hmm,
Why do I need a doctor to tell me what it is when we have it where you can look and see? Our world is made such that you can see it.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Human being comes out, whether I know the language or not. You're looking at an innie or outie. That's the nicer way of me saying it right
Right, right,
now. If I see both, then I know something happened.
yeah,
And we do have accounts of that. That's called a hermaphrodite.
mm-hmm,
It's not called transgender. I had to correct a person on the bus about that.
yeah,
Then I had to pull out my tablet because a lot of people, they want to argue all these things, but they don't know exactly what's going on. So I looked at all the boys that look like they want to go that way because they got their hair perm, not because they're trying to be Rick James or Prince. It's
mm-hmm,
because they're actually trying to take on a feminine persona.
mm-hmm,
So I actually took my tablet out and showed everybody the process of a male going to female.
mm-hmm.
I had one vomit.
Really?
I had the rest get mad and say, "Why you showing me this shit? Get out my face, old head. You don't know me." Now everybody becomes fine.
Mm-hmm,
And they got defiant right at the point when they split the shaft, like a banana or a sausage, like you're about to put into the pan, separate the tip from it, keeping all the nerve endings, and then filleting it and then now molding that into something. So technically, guys, um, a lot of traditional males try to say women are open wound. No, if you look at a transgender woman and she actually had the operation,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be a forever wound for real
Mm-hmm.
because it's just an opening, a forming.
Mm-hmm.
Then I showed the part on how they form the womb.
Mm-hmm.
There is no ovums.
Mm-hmm.
What would have been your ovum is your testicles, and you took those away.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't turn that process around. This is what I mean by biology. A lot of people don't want to have that conversation.
About biology, yeah.
Yeah, because if you do, it awakens everybody to what they, have been fearing all along, which was nothing because, you have to show these other things. And the
Mm-hmm.
10 that you talked about was single cell amoeba-like creatures.
Mm-hmm.
It's been known forever that, frogs can, with the power of fluoride from that one doctor can turn feminine,
Mm-hmm.
turn a masculine or testosterone to estrogen.
Mm-hmm.
The whole system changed right over.
It's amazing.
So now everybody, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, how is this conversation going
What
to
does it
flip
have
into
to,
something that's going to be doing? What does it have to do with something from nothing? Well,
right?
just how a lot of these conversations come about because that's a conversation about something that a lot of people would say was nothing, but
Nothing.
it really is something.
Mm-hmm.
To think about how you have alternate spaces or alternate ideas about things that are real realities.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it.
Oh, Don,
Any out
you got me thinking about it, Don.
because it's any outie, so then what else is there then?
Yeah.
Other than both together at one time. So then all right, so then everything after that is above the waist theory then.
Mm-hmm.
Then no, that's just your mental state then.
Mm-hmm.
You're a man thinking that you're a woman. Okay, that's your mental state. Then but that's not an absolute thing where I can look at you and you want to stand up and say I'm a woman next to a biological woman. Now throw a new term in there and tell me that you know what I mean. I have to adhere to this new idea of what a woman is. No, that's disrespecting the woman altogether.
Mm-hmm.
That's disrespecting the sacred feminine altogether because what is her ultimate task in this planet to be a vortex, to be a portal, to be a doorway.
Mm-hmm.
A man can't be a doorway in that way where it gives you physical form.
Mm-hmm.
Man gives you energy and thought and spirit,
Mm-hmm.
but he doesn't give you the form. Your
Mm-hmm.
mom gives you the form. She gives you the cell. She gives you the spacesuit. Plus those other things I just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't negate that fact that you get a suit. That suit is already feminine.
Mm-hmm.
Then nobody really looks into it. And when I mention it to doctors and stuff, they get quiet and some of them smile and say, wow, you're very observant. I said, yeah, that's my job as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
Because the fall is nothing more than a temperature change in environment.
Right.
Huh?
Right.
You knew that or you didn't know that?
I when you said the fall, it's a
That's
temperature change
sexuality. Right, but then sexuality, then I'm just being honest. How come nobody never speaks upon it? And
because
then when
it's
I'm
such a touchy subject.
no, it's not touchy. It's human. I'm a human being. I should be able to talk and say and do. That's the problem.
Well, yeah, but society now is like
Nah,
everybody's just so worried and sensitive about saying the wrong thing.
no. So if you don't know, you got to sit back and get to know.
Hmm.
That's the problem in our society. The internet makes it so that everybody has a voice. Everybody can make it seem like they know what they're saying.
Hmm.
That's the other problem. Everybody's not a specialist just because you say you're a specialist. What makes you that? How
Hmm.
can you impress the room? How can you impress the tribe of America? How can you impress the individual
Hmm.
to be able to say what it is that you are? A lot of people will just say it to you. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
era that we're going through this era of the beginnings of the internet and all this peripheral devices and things like this. Because
Yeah.
even though people got that device there, they don't use it. Over 75% of the people don't use it to investigate anything.
Mm-hmm.
They use it as a status symbol.
Mm-hmm.
You see? And if you look at the things we were talking about from something and from nothing, the last three basically were all about symbolism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where do you think the paintings come from? When you go to the museum and they're looking at time periods and eras to see what democracy was really all about in a certain area, Marxism, socialism, and all that other good stuff. They go back and they start looking at what? Literary people first, and then they look at who? The visual artist next.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then they would look at the actor. Now the actor, you know what I mean, uh, um, has stepped up and how would you say switch spots with the visual artist and the musician too as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what I mean. They leave the visual component out because they know the visual component is what makes you observant as a human being.
Right.
Because there's a lot to do with your inner eye and your outward eye when it comes to visual.
Mm-hmm.
No, in fact, you get that together, that makes music even better. Most artists, most musicians are visual artists too as well.
For sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
But
think
yeah,
about Miles. Miles, he painted paintings as well.
Coltrane did too.
Coltrane,
Yeah,
you know.
I can go on. There's a lot of them. There's a couple of R&B artists that people don't know about that are painters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some actors are painters. Jim Carrey, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Very good artists. You know what I mean? Who else? There's a lot of them. I can name them black and white, for lack of better terms, black and white,
Mm-hmm.
Indian, Chinese, doesn't matter.
Even some politicians.
Well, yeah, like
What's it,
George Bush,
Bush?
well, George Bush Jr.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
surprised by that. I was like, what?
Why?
I, you
I would,
know,
because he grew up in that era of the beatniks and everything else. That was a
yeah.
totally artistic era to come up in right
Mm-hmm.
after those 50s and 60s, the early 50s and 60s. That was his era of teenage time.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's not shocking to me because it was implemented in society in higher parts of society as parts of grooming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of people don't look at that no more, your pedigree.
Right.
Now, a lot of times what would happen in the past, you would get, classes in etiquette, classes in art, classes in history, you see. Then this is
Mm-hmm.
why a lot of people were taking ballet. And then now, after, how would you say, 1980, everybody started taking jazz dance and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
These are all things the culture of a person.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you can see how they looked at the whole way things were, the elites that want to have a new control, and to see how they can change things up.
Yeah.
That's how it really, really works.
I think also we're conditioned to a certain degree. Like I felt as though I was conditioned to think that a politician is going to write a book more so than paint a picture. you know? So I guess that's why I was like, what? He's painting?
But they told us about Carter like to paint. So that
Carter.
if
Yeah.
politicians can paint, why would you stay in that thought? You see? That's what I'm saying. I when I was in school and stuff, I found out certain people that had certain positions that were artists. So it was like, well, wow, if that every politician can be an artist. Then. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's human. Then it's not. It has nothing to do with all of that other stuff, emotional stuff that people speak on.
Mm-hmm.
It has something to do more so with being human.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it has to do with, and you have to express. You
Yeah.
have to be able to communicate. When you're communicating, that's expressing.
Hmm.
You write a letter, that's expressing. You know what I mean? You're using a couple of lines and angles of lines to make a what they call a codex
Hmm.
or an alphabet. That's how deep this stuff goes. It goes that deep into society, whereas art is that. It's pretty much the structure and foundation of society. Because
Hmm.
without it, you're not functioning.
Right.
How did you make the net? How did you come up with the idea to fish? Either somebody told you or you figured it out by being creative, by looking at
Hmm.
the products around you and resolving an issue. That's the true essence of what creativity has to offer to you.
Hmm.
Creative ways, or what we call creative ways of resolution. But nobody looks at it like that because they let you have an out of body experience of what you're calling fine art.
Unless you get trapped in the in the videos online of people making stuff and it's like long form and you're just sitting there watching them do it creatively and seeing how they do it differently.
What do you mean by that?
Sometimes I would watch videos. Like one time I saw someone figure out a different way to cut out wood for to fit into a corner. You know, just weird. We're just
Well,
like,
how that's
mhm.
a new way of just because you just encounter it. Then here's the danger. That's not something new.
Right. I know it's not new. It's just something I
Something
didn't know how to do.
no, it's something new that you encountered.
Yes.
It's not that it's new.
Right.
That stuff that you're seeing in those videos back in 84, 85, and 86.
Hmm.
The only way you would learn those things back then if you was in and around people that were creative for a very long time and were doing things what they would call out of the box.
Right.
And then a lot of the foreign nationals, they come in, they always do things by eye.
Hmm.
So
I'm
if
like,
I'm doing things by eye rather than worrying about the measurement, and you'll see the conundrum that happens
how'd you do that?
by eye. I looked at it and I made certain things go and move based upon what I was observing. Do you realize that's the real backbone of what science is?
Hmm.
Science is just somebody, and then history is the same thing. Somebody just sitting there observing.
Hmm.
Somebody takes in all the statistics, which is all the observations, and then they put them together and they say, ah, this is history. You know? Same thing with science. If I look at something and now I got to look a little deeper, can I look at it through a cell? And what's the secret ways of looking in light and things like this? All of that's part of it. That's all
Hmm.
creativity. That's all alchemy or alchem at that point.
Yep.
It's I've said this before in other videos and stuff. That's what I mean by people have certain expectations and they really look for, and you're right, we are conditioned. People are looking for somebody in a white jacket that they can trust, or they're looking for somebody that's somebody else is saying, rather than looking at
Yeah.
themselves and their
Yeah.
personal observations to trust on. Because it's
Hmm.
hard to do that because you don't understand what your job is.
Hmm.
I'm not biblical, but right there in Genesis, it says you're supposed to name everything, figure out everything
Hmm.
that's been put here. So do your job. Whether you're a religious person or not, still do your job.
Right.
There's a lot of things that's unknown and unseen. It's places, spaces, and places that's unknown and unseen.
Hmm.
You only get to them by doing what? Being creative,
Yeah.
resolving issues. I might not be able to get to the deep. How I'm going to get down there? I'm going to make a device that's going to go to the deep. I'm going to make a device that's going to go to the dome of the planet. You know what I mean? I'm going to make a device that's going to sustain itself in these deep, dark places in the holes of the earth, in the bowels of the earth. Yeah. All that started from somebody thinking about it. If somebody looked at somebody else's efforts and saw how they did what we call failure, but then turned around and took their failures and made it into something, because they was able to look between the lines then. These are where most of these terms come from. These are not new terms. These are terms that are tried and tested.
Mm.
Just like the same one that everybody's looking for now, and they can't find the real McCoy anymore than anything. When I made mention of that to some young people, they was like, well, what's the real McCoy? I said, well, put it in Google or Wikipedia and see what it says. And then they found out about the African American male that was an inventor, and most of his inventions was called, after a while, his name, because it was so sturdy and strong and could do certain things. It was called, if you didn't have the real McCoy, you didn't have a real item.
Because you needed
So
the real McCoy.
yeah, so if you didn't have the real McCoy, which was that gentleman that was an African American inventor, and his stuff made the standards change in the marketplace, in the manufacturing.
Mhm.
So now everything had to be serious. It had to be made to last. The real McCoy. That's what that is, the real McCoy. So once again, all of that, what does that mean for my something from nothing idea? You know what I mean? Because I was thinking more so we should stay abstract with this idea or existential in our thought. So then this way we can understand the difference between an objectional and non-objectional piece.
Mhm.
Something just dealing with straight lines or fades and blends of colors or movements of texture,
Mhm.
then that's a true existential piece, as they may call a non-objectional piece, a
Mhm.
truly abstract piece, where people will say to you, then it's coming from nowhere, it's coming from my subconscious.
Mhm.
And y'all know my theme about the subconscious is just a dumping ground for things that you can't pay attention to, that your body is taking in all day.
Mhm.
So I question the nothingness in the subconscious. I say it's not that it's nothing. I'm saying that it's big time something, because that's where most of all your ideas get worked out.
Mm.
Yeah, in your subconscious world, that's when you can take yourself and turn yourself upside down, and I can keep talking and walking, and you wouldn't get weirded out.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I could turn myself polka dot, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And then we still be walking, and it's like the metaverse. You wouldn't be weirded out.
Right.
But the minute you come back to the third dimension, you know what I mean? This oxygen filled environment, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Nitrogen and everything else going on. No, it's going to be an issue. You know what I mean? Why are you purple? You shouldn't be purple. You know
You're
what I mean?
not
Why are
supposed to
you
be purple.
right? If
This
you're
isn't
purple,
Mario Brothers.
right? If you're purple, that means you're dying. You're suffocating. That means your lungs and your windpipe is cut off, and you got
Right.
limited time before you just turn pale.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's where color comes in, and people don't realize that anymore. They don't. They'll look at people and not. Man, I remember a while ago, like a couple of years ago, I helped somebody in a restaurant, and the people that they was with were looking at them like, "Oh my God, what's wrong?" It's like, "What do you mean, what's wrong? The fucker, I mean, excuse me, the individual was choking." You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
That's why he's looking like that. He's not playing. I got behind him and did the little. And I'm good on my Heimlich thrust, man. I thrusted, boy. Everything came out that man's stomach, all on the table, all on the plate. Got me
Mhm.
and my young lady that I was with free dinner. You know what I mean? Why?
Mhm.
Because you just knew what to do at that moment. When you see somebody looking like they can't talk, grabbing it. This is not charades. He's not trying to tell you something to no. Man, I'm about to die. Face turning blue. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Right before it turns purple, it turns a little blue. Then it
Mhm.
goes purple. And then the next thing you know, you're passing out. And then the next thing you know, you're pale.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter what your complexion is then. Your complexion is going to be pale. Oxygen is not moving. The blood is not circulating.
Mhm.
Danger, Will Robertson. Danger, danger.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? Yeah. So like I said, I was thinking, since we're talking all this existential stuff, why not stay with this idea of existentialism? And we can have some more fun with it. You got your watercolor set. Pull out your portable watercolor set, everybody. Let's have some fun with this. I'm going to use my marker. And this is going to pretty much be a hybrid of everything we've been doing thus far, all at once. You heard me, Nadine?
Oh, yeah.
So that's what this is going to be, a hybrid of that idea that we've been doing thus far, but now we're just going to take it and put it all together. So now with me saying that, I have to pull out my little watercolor set. You see, because it was all, how would you say, impulsive, you guys. We didn't think about this right away. And this wasn't planned like that, like that.
That's why I was looking around going, oh,
Yeah, it's up to
watercolor.
you if you want to put the color. Let's just get the idea of what we're going to do first. And then we can worry about that color idea. That's going to come. We can get that on there. That's not like it's a coloring book. Basically, everything we've done in this series has basically been like a coloring book, everybody. You know, you can even use the water soluble graphite if you wanted to, everybody. You see, you can use your regular drawing paper if you want, or you can use some watercolor paper, either which way. But this one we're going to make totally abstract, totally existential. Because remember, the minute that you put an identifiable item there, like a landscape or something like that, that's when it's the figurative, Nadine.
Yeah.
You know, it's figurative expressive, you know what I mean? Figurative abstraction. You know, one of the main people that you can find right away, everybody, is de Kooning in his Marilyn Monroe pieces that he's known for.
Mhm.
And that's during that whole, what they would call pop art with Andy Warhol and the abstract expressionist period with the Motherwells and all that good stuff in de Kooning, the American art scene at that point.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's a lot of people. You just got to understand that's why that all of that stuff is in college.
Hmm.
There's the watercolor set, everybody. Like it only gets to your college arena based upon it permeating the elite and breaking through the international and national realm. Yeah. So yeah, let certain artists like our homegirl on the ballot become more important as far as the fabric of America is concerned, then you may see her in a history book or two one day in the future.
Wouldn't that be nice?
No, but that's just the way it works
Hmm.
because it's based upon where your art is placed at. So if it's placed in certain arenas, then sooner or later, so in order to be seen in books like that, especially if you're showing or your work is being looked at by the top elite of the bubble, being collected by the top elite of the bubble, and
Hmm.
then it's in major museums or national museums. When you reach that level, that's the standard. You're going to find yourself in history books for that time period. Don't believe it?
I believe it.
No, it don't sound like you're convinced on how that process works. That's truly how it works. Why you think the Impressionists wanted to be part of the elite?
Yeah.
Why was Velázquez picked up by a king?
Mm,
Who was the painter for King Charles? Why did King Charles need an artist in his court?
right.
So the artist has always been close to the top of the elite bubble.
Hmm.
Kind of makes you think. So what I would do is, you can get the Sharpie marker, everybody. And you can start with lines if you wanted to. I just would take a line and just start cutting up page. Any which way you want to. Think about all the things we said about symbolism. What's the symbol for male? What's the symbol for female? I don't know. Everybody, could you use these symbols to make overlaps from the conversation that we had? You know, what if you can take your last conversation and make an idea out of it? Empty spaces, open spaces. We're going to make a non-objective piece, something that really doesn't have, that can't be identified. Only if you understood the symbols. And do symbols mean that it's absolutely an objective piece? Hello?
Oh, I'm
Yeah, like, you forgot, the task at hand. Yeah, you still got to have this conversation while we're working.
yeah, I
Like,
kind of
your ambition at that point, Nadine, is your ambition to instruct one day? Or is it your ambition is to grasp more skills? Because whether you like it or not, you're still getting all the benefits of these instructionals. So
that
your skill should be even better, even more observant than the person that's just watching the video, because you
um
get to get all this beautiful footage and get to see it at work.
yes, that's true. I was taking notes and I was looking and I was hearing what you were saying and I was thinking, where am I going to put my mark?
Well, you just start somewhere anywhere, and take some of the ones that we talked about, take curved lines, you know, make up your own story, you know. What do these symbols do? What do these things do? Have fun with it. Perfection is a lie, repetition is the truth. You know, we talked about procreation. What is that all about? About something that looks like that, attacking something that's oval like that.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Ooh, look what you did there.
I'm saying just by thinking about the idea. And where those shapes come from is me understanding my world around me. What does something slippery like sperm look like?
Mm,
I don't have to get graphic, you know what I mean, or pornographic with the idea. It's just plain and simple. If you look at that shape at the bottom, it looks like a water gun splashing. That's like a
mm,
thick plasma. You can say it's
mhm,
like baby being shot through a syringe then. That would be the consistency of, seminal fluid. No, not seminal. That'd be the spinal fluid at that point. Semen at that point.
mhm,
A thicker plasmic like, well, it should be a thicker, more, plasmic like, even toned, you know what I mean? Any yellow or anything else or any other colors in it, there's a problem.
mm,
Yeah. A lot of people they don't like talking about it. I remember I got an uncle to talk about it one time. Come to find out that the man was having prostate issues. The doctor told him to look at that family member that had that conversation with you and say, thank you. You saved your uncle's life just
mhm.
from conversation. That's what we used to do.
Right.
You know. So think about it. What does semen look like? What does other fluids look like that we talked about? But
Mm,
I'm pulling thoughts from the conversation we had. We talked about sexuality, gender.
mhm, mhm,
What's the symbol for man? What's the symbol for a symbol for female?
mhm,
Then what's the symbol for transgender? What's the
mhm.
symbol for feminine
Oh,
pride? The symbol it's endless. There's a symbol for everything that's human. They're all there. As soon as you put it in, they come up. One's a circle with an arrow. Gotta ask yourself why they're using a circle as one of the main premises to show gender, and then now everything is an offshoot from the center of that circle outward.
mhm.
What else are they trying to tell you with that symbol?
Wow, I didn't know they had this many.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to expose to the people now. This is what art is all about, and this is what something for nothing is all about. And this is why the arts is there. The
Uh-huh.
arts is there just to make you feel good. It's there to also show you things.
Mm-hmm.
Symbolism is your alphabet. Your alphabet is mainly nothing more than symbolism.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of lines and shapes that's configured together that everybody throughout time has all associated together and said, yes, that's the American alphabet. That's the English alphabet. That's the westernized idea of the alphabet for language. And then if you go deeper, they'll say it's English or say it's the language of angles and things like this.
Mm-hmm.
You see, if you go a little bit deeper, you'll find out more. But what our thing is that we're trying to show you that art is the catalyst of creativity that you as human is everything in your world.
Mm-hmm.
You would not be able to read, write, or do anything or communicate with the next person. What's the dollar sign symbol?
That's true.
Come on. What's the cent symbol? There's other ones in there too as well for the yen and all the other dollars and currency that's in
Euro and
the
yeah.
world. Yeah, they all got a symbol. They
Mm-hmm.
all got a symbol. And then once you understand, start seeing that, just that one basic thing, everybody, spread it to your grandkids, spread it to your nieces, your nephews, those younger ones, so they can understand that their whole world is symbolic
Mm-hmm.
and that you use them just like how we're using them now.
Right.
You know, you just put them in, enjoy them, enjoy what the human form or human being can do. You know,
Mm-hmm.
stop underestimating the human. That's what people do. We underestimate the human aspects. You
Wow.
know, yeah, you're seeing all those different symbols, right?
I was like, I Googled it, y'all. It's deep. I don't even know. Um,
Yeah, I can do symbols like this, like what I just did now. What would
mm-hmm.
that be if you saw that as a petroglyph?
Mm-hmm.
Start to water, you know, but then what if I do an arrow shooting down from there and then on the other side have an arrow shooting from that side, angular? What if I put a squiggly line like this right above and on some stuff and then put some angular dotted lines coming down too,
Mm-hmm.
you see? Or what if that condentation changed and now I did this? Or what would that represent? It could be stars or it could be what?
Mm-hmm.
Solid form of what I'm saying these may be, which is water, snow.
Mm-hmm.
You see? Think
Wow.
about it. Look at the Weather Channel now. What was some of the icons that they'll give you? They'll give you an icon with the little snow symbol
Yeah.
underneath the cloud.
Rain.
That one, yeah, rain would be this one. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Rain and sleet, a mixture would be both of these together. That would be a
Mm-hmm.
mixture.
Mm-hmm.
You see how symbolism is so important in our world? Still to this day, that now we move from just doing logos to emojis and icons.
They're just
What?
symbols.
Yeah, this is all working with symbols.
And Don, I did a search and I went to gender symbols and cultural origins,
Hmm.
and the symbols then have an origin from the symbols of the planets.
Right.
And
Gaia, all that good stuff.
where was
Terrestrial.
I? you
Yeah,
know, Venus, the
yeah.
female
All that.
symbol, Mars for the
Oh,
male symbol, God of War.
gonna use mine since I'm here with it. And I'm the
Okay,
17th. There's mine's right there. What's that symbol?
it's that. I don't want to say it. Is that
I'll
Mercury?
do it again. I'll do it right here. I do more of a Grecian idea now.
Oh, so you just you add into it.
Yeah, that's the Libra sign. All I have to do is
Okay.
put the line in between it now and go here. How many times have you seen it in your astrology books?
Yes.
Yeah, that's all that is. That's another derivative of it. And you have different derivative of all these symbols. If you go through the I forget exactly what they call it, but they have books based upon symbolism. I have a couple of them, and it
Mm,
shows how a certain symbol transition through cultures and society.
mm,
So if you look at the Adinkra symbols, if you look at African symbols and things like this, gold weight metal symbols, things like this, yeah, they all going to have a certain meaning and meaning for that area or that place or when it was used. You see? And then now you're just using the power of overlap,
mm,
overlapping, striking things through. You see, how do you make interest? How do I control and make something look like it's moving? Well, that's where if you look at Kandinsky's books, when he's talking about the spirituality and work, that's
mm,
why he's talking about how these symbols would move. And then now you would move things that control the direction of the human eye.
mm.
Yeah, everything feels like it's moving this way.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to call my thing origins.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why I'm calling mine origins is because of this one right here in the circle. That's
Mm-hmm.
the oval, that's the sperm.
Mm-hmm.
That's the basis of everything human.
Mm-hmm.
And now off of that, I can put other things in here that comes to being human.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why not use some caveman type feeling like pieces?
Mm.
You see? I can make it like to say like we had aliens on the planet. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Just made up. This is why when you go to the museums and the galleries and you see certain types of works, you know, like a Horace Pippin or somebody like this is what gives credence to those types of work and importance. Why? Because
Mm-hmm.
rudimentary man or beginning man used that as a language. So
Mm-hmm.
then how come now it would be inferior? It's not inferior,
Mm.
you see. What do they do? If you go down to Fifth and Independence on 4th of July and you look at all the paintings of them, all the paintings down there, you see Masonic symbolism,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Whereas now it can go back to that idea that we talked about time slipping away, being like what? Being a Dadaist idea
Mm-hmm.
because of Dadaism, all this
Mm-hmm.
good stuff, where it uses the metaphors of actual human being occurrences, time slipping by, time frozen, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Two faces, you know, all the things that we can't really visually see, the metaphor life, you know what I mean? The how would you say the allegorical,
Mm-hmm.
the satirical. This is where your abstractions started coming to life, but it was already there beforehand in other cultures. Then after the Great First World War, then this is where it started to come west. So everything that we're talking about symbolism and all this good stuff has always been a human thing,
Mm-hmm.
you know, always been. You have to describe the world that we're in. You know, I can even take shapes and start moving them in. Maybe move a shape, triangle to come this way. Then by the time when that triangle comes this way, they start to commingle, get bigger and overlap one another a little bit more, you see? And so
Mm-hmm.
maybe
Oh,
over
that's
here,
cool.
yeah. And then maybe when it gets over here to this arena here, it starts to make sense to be possibly joining and making male and female.
Mm.
You check it, that's what that 5-pointed star was at one, or 6-pointed star was. A representation of male and female joined in union, or the philosophies joined in union. And then it transcended, and people borrowed it and utilized the symbols and say different things. The Star of David, Star. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But which one of these were the beginning symbol at that point? You can use dots too as well. Now, everything in between, the spaces in between are going to have opportunity for color. Or you can just splash it in if you wanted to, just to make reactions by just using certain colors. But then I would just use, then pick it up over here. Maybe do a half circle, but my whole thing is to make everything move this way. I'll make everything move that way. It makes the whole world feel like that. What if I said this is the vortex?
Mm.
Since we have the tornadoes and stuff, and I put it around this line and then make it stop at a certain point. I can do that and then put Helena name in there. Put
Mm.
Helena. You see how these abstractions come to life, but they're not from nothing.
Right.
You see, that looks pretty cool. I could add more if I want. I can make it more cryptic if I wanted to by starting adding real identifiable forms. Not really, how would you say, man and things and animals like how I did here. We're talking just numbers and letters,
Mm-hmm.
like how I did the other one. What if I started putting ones and O's going down like this, then space them out? Then turn it the same way down here, then turn it in this real binary code way.
Huh.
Then space them. You see, let's have some more fun. Let's put 6 neutrons, 6 protons, and 6 what? What would that number be considered?
Uh, oh.
See how I made you think that quick? You would know. As soon as you
I
get
was
that
like,
idea.
oh.
Yeah.
Oh, what are we doing here?
Yeah. I'm showing you how symbolism really works.
Right.
You know? Do you realize that when I did the painting, the painting of, I took the manga hat off of the manga people and I just was putting "Make America Safe Again" on a piece that I call the vid. It's called the
Mm-hmm.
vids. Well, a lot of places don't want to show that piece because they're thinking that they're seeing a MAGA hat. And I
Mm-hmm.
really have to argue with the person or the manager or the art person, and then they'll
Mm-hmm.
find, oh my God, you're right. It says safe. It doesn't say what the. I say, yeah, I use the manga hat as a template.
Mm-hmm.
But what that proves is how powerful a symbol can be.
Right.
How powerful a symbol can make people not even pay attention to you. They just trigger, bang, and the next thing you know, you can't get that person back.
Mm-hmm. Because they assume.
Yeah, not that they assume, it's just that they mistook the
Mm-hmm.
symbol.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally, it's symbols you can put up that is undeniable. I mean, I'm just gonna put some things like you would have lines like this, right? And then you
Mm-hmm.
would have dots above them that would mean a language. That's a language. You know, you have the Sumerian text, you have the Egyptian text.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? The cartouches or cartoons or cartouches at that point. which is using what? Hieroglyphics,
Right.
which is another form. That's why the Greek had a lot of relief drawings done or relief pieces done.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's why we have reliefs in our stanzas and stuff in those Doric and Greek form, buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Have a frieze area, and in that area, that's where you would have a lot of your reliefs that would explain a story or something like that. You see, with symbols, like all right, other numbers, like all right, I'm gonna put 3 here, and then you can have fun. I could put 3 times 3, and then right here I'll put no, right here I'll put 3 times 2 and put a circle around. Now, why have I done that?
Uh, I don't.
Okay, what's the most important, or what are some of the important numbers in nature? 3,
3,
6.
6, 9.
There you go. Those
3,
are
6,
3
9.
powerful numbers in nature.
Mm-hmm.
Tesla has proven that point. Most of
Mm-hmm.
all our technologies are coming off of Tesla's experiences in
Mm-hmm.
nature. He's found that the frequencies and numbers and things that align themselves with 3, 6, and 9 have a powerful resonance in nature.
Mm-hmm.
So these are things that I can take and play with. 2 times 3 or 3 times 2 is 6.
Mm-hmm.
Got the binary code down here, the binary code here. Got my symbol, Libra.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's other things if people want to look. That's what makes those type of pieces that are existential or abstract or truly or subjective. That's why Basquiat was getting off because he
Mm-hmm.
would do things like this. Look, all right. Oh no, let's do it this way. I'll cross out the binary code here.
You just gonna cross. Whoa.
But what would that mean to an individual? Wouldn't that bring attention to that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what Basquiat was on. He got that from a group of writers that were doing things, poets.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes in some of their pieces, they would cross out words.
Mm.
But what they found is when you cross out words or things that make sense to human beings in a place, it becomes and it garners more attention.
Mm.
If I change those black cross out lines or that black X into a red X, you definitely would pay attention
Mm.
because in your mind's eye, you're groomed, conditioned to understand that red means alert,
Mm-hmm.
danger. But if it's placed a certain way, then it means alert. Don't do that or look out for that.
Mm-hmm.
You see, to whereas a page full of what we would say is nothingness is something.
Mm.
You see, a page full of what we would say is nothingness is really something.
Mm-hmm.
This is how the abstract world, really takes hold
Mm.
because nobody can really say that you're wrong or right.
Mm-hmm.
But if you use some of those ideas and things like those, to really show you how serious I am about that idea, I'm just going to pull out a couple of books that I use when I'm looking at certain symbols. And I see a lot of similarities. So, and it's just symbols now. We're talking
Mm-hmm.
about petroglyphs and stuff now. We're talking about tribal stuff now and things like that. Like, okay, I'll come in here and we'll look at figural components of different. So these will be the symbols that would be on some of these artifacts and things.
Right.
but then these symbols are also a language too as well. So these are most of your indigenous types, you see. But you also will see these in your more of your Asian philosophy too as well. See the life idea, you see. And that's Nigerian and things like that. Each culture. I got another book where it's Celtic, you see. Look at this one looking like a Keith Haring type of thing.
Ooh.
Yeah, so there's all types of designs that come from the natural world that people don't take into consideration. You see?
Ooh.
Mhm. So now, the two that I look at is I look at African symbolism a lot for the whole continent, and then I also look at Mesoamerican,
Mhm.
South and Northern America, the different indigenous types. But if you notice, the symbolism is almost the same as what I just showed you. You see? You see?
Wow.
Yeah. Now, if I go to a certain section of the indigenous Africans or Africanoid, or specifically the Adinka tribe, and
Mhm.
I go into those things, they talk about different things too as well. And look at these symbols here, and then look at these symbols.
Mhm.
You see? And then I can go to the Celtic. Those books are over on the other side, so I really can't get to those, everybody else. I would show you that whole thing going around the world, showing you each section of the terrestrial plane where there's beings, and we're translating whatever's around us into symbolism to translate, to talk to communicate with others.
Hmm.
You know, I mean, I can put, this is what I'm going to put now, since we're talking like that. I'm going to put a smaller version of it though. And I'm going to put it real small right here. Wouldn't that be that apple symbol? Or didn't they have like an apple that looks like it's being bitten out of?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I could put an upside down M because I don't eat McDonald's no more. I really stopped eating McDonald's after the 80s. I used to do it all the time in the 70s when you're a little kid, you
Mhm.
know, Happy Meals, hash brown, hush puppies, when they had the hush puppies there. And then I would put a line through the McDonald's, yeah. You know.
Wow. Look at that.
Mhm. And now what you could do is you can come in with a brush if you wanted to. Pull out your set and then pick some colors that you're going to work with.
I don't even know where to begin.
Right, that's the whole issue because you got to control all of where to begin. So a lot of times what you would do is you can start off with yellows and see where you would put a yellow at,
Mhm.
spread it all through. You're not trying to absolutely show anything, you're just trying to accent, Are there certain languages with color? Yes. Green, the warm colors have a certain meaning. Cool colors have a certain meaning. Interfered with colors have a certain meaning. You name it. You can make it as intricate as you want. You know, you can use oranges, all that good stuff. Let's see. Yeah. You know, and you can start off with the whole canvas just being white, and you just putting, certain colors just in certain small things and see what that would do. Would that bring interest to the piece? Then you can do another one that's full color, blown out, you know what I mean? But you see what I'm doing, I'm just putting a couple of colors here and there to try to say where something is or bring interest somewhere, you see?
Mm.
And you state how pure the color is going to be or how dull or how, dirty the color is going to be. Purity means clarity. Dullness means something too as well. You know, everything has a meaning. Every color has a meaning. Yeah, I kind of like it like that with just the red and that there. I would do that something like 4 foot by 6 foot on a canvas.
Really?
Yeah, because that would be more so of the, how would you say, minimalist idea, less meaning more.
Hmm.
What's important? Is the color more important or is the marking more important?
Oh, okay.
Okay. Oh, everything has a meaning at that point. If I put yellow here, am I saying that the ovum is yellow?
Mm.
Maybe in my world it is.
Maybe.
When you really look, it's a clear type of thing, almost like when you see eggs in the carton, when you're
Mhm.
making your scrambled eggs or you're making your omelets. You see, every octave or every sound frequency has a color that goes with it, everybody. These are all known facts for things, everybody. I'm not saying nothing that's totally my theory or anything else like that. These are absolute things that happen in your environment. 7 sounds, 7 colors, 7 tastes. You start to see where certain numbers are there. And somebody might say, hey, Don, what about that 369 you were talking about?
Yeah, what about that?
Right. Where does it exist? Well, look at your flowers, look at things and around you, and you may see those numbers 3, 6, and 9
Hmm.
outside of man's makings. See, I'm not saying look at the building, look at the car, look at the paved road. I'm saying look at the flower petal,
Hmm.
look at the tree, look at the lake, look at the raindrops, look at the
Hmm.
cloud. This is where you're going to start seeing most of these things that I'm talking about. Look in the inner verse of man or woman, especially a woman. And it's these types of observations that pull you closer to the idea on why you look at certain things a certain way. And if I put a liquid in or on a man, I might get something dirty. But if
Hmm.
I put a liquid in a woman, I may get something beautiful that's sustainable.
Oh,
Think about it. That's what I say to people. Just think about it. Yep, I would leave it like that, maybe mine. Then I would sign my name down at the bottom.
just like that?
Yep. Hmm. And since I have certain things in it that's identifiable to human, I will call it something based upon human experience and then do a whole series of it based upon the things that I put there in this first one.
Hmm.
So then you would change it around, do another one based upon just the idea of 666,
Hmm.
the symbolism of man. You know what I mean? And you would add on to that. Maybe swing the energy from going this way, swing it the other way now to see what happens. Swing it to the right.
Hmm. Oh, yeah, that's right. We didn't flip ours.
Well, on this one, I didn't have to flip it. That wasn't
Mm-hmm.
my,
Mm-hmm.
or it wasn't our intent, or we
Mm-hmm.
didn't descend down to that idea. That didn't come out in our conversations. You see,
Right.
this one we stayed pretty much formal and just straightforward. Oh, we're just going to put this here. What does this symbol mean? Since we
Mm-hmm.
talked about that for our something to nothing, our conversation that we had beforehand, we talked about human stuff, things that had to deal with mankind, numbers that had to deal with mankind. And we talked
Mm-hmm.
about what symbolism is. You see, most of all these things are coming from the conversation,
Mm-hmm. Which is deep.
which is how a lot of things come to life from something from nothing,
Mm-hmm.
trying to get everybody to see how the things come to life.
Mm-hmm.
How do we get the inventions that we're looking at around us? How do
Right.
we get the telephone? How do we get to the point that we can get to the idea of not having to have a cord connected to have energy flow?
Wow. Yep.
Think about it. It had to be off of the thinking of the human being. How does the human being receive information? If you look past what we say it is, it's vibrations.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I touch you, that's a vibration. Your mind is going to measure it through your nerve endings,
Right.
turn it into a liquid measurement, so then I can turn around and have a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. If I'm looking out or if I'm talking to you, I'm augmenting my voice box or my Adam's apple to make different compressions or tensions of the wind coming from my lungs to
Mm-hmm.
go through that area to make certain bends and movements and octaves that the rubber band in my throat moves up and down, tightens and expands to let the wind come out, and then it's finally augmented with the orifices in my mouth,
Mm.
you know, that does what at that point? Formulates the words, and then your tongue does the rest of it with your mouth.
Right.
Now, how many people really look at it like that? No, not unless you're a linguistics person, a speech therapist. Do you think about the way people have what we call a lazy tongue, meaning that they don't use their whole mouth or orifices to form their words?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. I mean that's why if you think back with if you grew up in an urban environment and then everybody knew you went to school when you went down south, they'll do what they call now. Excuse me, everybody. They'll say to you that you like sounding white.
Yep. I got that actually.
Yeah, I've gotten it too. I've gotten it recently on the bus. You trying to sound educated. You trying to sound white. You know,
Right.
I was like, for real? In this day and era, we still thinking
We're
that way?
still thinking that way. Yeah.
Right. Like, so not enough people have gone to college, read a book, and done all this stuff to bring stuff that you have to think that you have to speak with your whole mouth.
Mm-hmm.
You see, so then, yeah, these observations, and that's the observations that help in creativity.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
Deep.
yeah, observant, deep, yeah, you know.
Very observant. Very deep.
But then I would just say to you, what is a language then at that point? You know, and
Yes.
that's just nothing more than symbolism.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
Lines, edges, and curves that we put together as beings and we all stay together. Yes, that's an A.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what that symbol makes that sound. Ah,
Ah.
A, ah. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Is where you start with it, but not a lot of people look at it that way. So that's why they belittle art a lot of times, not knowing
Mm-hmm.
it, but they'll belittle it. Oh, I'm not an artist. I don't. I like listening to you guys, but I'm not an artist. I don't do that.
Right.
Well, if I came in your house and changed the decor and took your big TV and made it a small TV, you would probably get very mad at me, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But then that would be me stepping on the toes of the artist within you because you placed that TV and brought that TV at a certain size for a certain reason. You bought
Mm-hmm.
carpets, you bought those rugs, those leather fixtures, those satin and silk fixtures, ceramic things, crystal things for certain reasons because they're in a certain augmentation, certain color, certain pattern. If I came
Mhm.
in and turned everything upside down like a mixoplex world, that
Yeah.
means everything that you had curved, I make it into an angular situation.
Mm,
Everything that you had bright, I'll make it dull.
yeah.
But I will make everything connect now, but it's going to be the anti
Right.
to whatever you had. You're going to kick me out of your house.
Yep.
I would look at you and say, wow, you said you're not an artist. I'm an artist. You know, I'm an artist. You see it. I'm
Right.
out there. Newspaper articles. Yes, I'm a local artist. So then why are you kicking me out? If you said you're not the artist, you didn't decorate your house, so I'm trying to help you.
Hmm.
No, you would look at me and said, now to get violent. You know what I mean? If you don't get the boo, boo, boo,
You
boo,
messing
boo,
up my house.
yeah, it's not going to be nice. And I say that to prove now you're not an artist.
Hmm. That's
If the
deep.
part of that story, yeah, if the part of that story bothered you when I came in and I said I was going to change all your fixings, so look around your house, everybody. Think about it. You said you're not, all those people that said they're not an artist, but they like looking or listening to our video.
Yeah.
Imagine, look around your house. Now,
Hmm.
imagine me or Nadine coming in, or both of us coming in, arguing about designing your house and changing things as we go.
Hmm.
I'll paint the wall red, and Nadine comes in and says, nah, man, that wall's supposed to be purple. And then she starts working on it purple. Then I look around the house and see what she did. I say, oh, that wall you did over there, Nadine, that you did purple, I think it should be yellow.
And then you start changing it.
There you go. And now we're running around your house, changing and
Changing.
battling between two artists
You kick us
because you
both
said
out.
you're not an artist.
You'll be like, what's wrong with these folks?
Right, exactly. That's why I'm saying every human being is an artist.
This is
Your
my
your
house.
you decor your house, your presentation of self, everything is you exhibiting your chances to express yourself.
Hmm.
If you didn't, you would just be a robot,
Yep.
automaton. Or you'd just be what people say about a lot of cultures sometimes in the wrong, that they're all wild animals and they're beasts
That's a
because you're
shame.
stuck on one mode.
Yeah.
But this is where these thoughts come from, these type of observations.
Hmm.
You know, that's why something from nothing is so powerful. What if I
Absolutely.
was to do one of these based upon your operation that you put the videos up that I saw, Nadine, recently?
Yeah.
And what if I just did symbols that's based upon what your operation was all about? Like
That's
really went in to understand what medicines the doctors use and understanding the symbols for those medicines, the
yeah.
symbol for the particular type of cuts that you got when you was in the operation room,
Yeah. That would be
the
deep.
mathematics on how they figured out what your particular ailment was,
Yep. Which
and all
started
the
from a hole.
right. But what I'm saying is the literal aspect. Then
Yeah.
that's another way we can take it. Start it from a hole, so then I can draw a circle that looks like a hole and then expand from there. But then what if I just took all the information that went into fixing you?
Hmm.
Yeah, all the mathematical equations that they found to be able to do that particular operation on.
Yeah.
And I put all those mathematical equations and different equations of thought on there, even the chemical equations for anesthesia and all of that. What particular
Or the nitrous oxide.
This is what I'm saying. Yes, and what's the simple symbol for nitrous oxide on the periodic table?
Yeah, I actually wrote that down because I thought that was deep. I have to go back and look at that. That's a good one, Don.
Yeah, well, these are some of the things that when I was teaching K through 12, I thought you would have to awaken the populace too.
Hmm.
Everybody that I was doing that with, they moved a little bit more successfully in society.
Hmm.
You know, the ones that didn't take the idea of understanding your surroundings and how it works and how symbolism and all these things come into play and where that comes from and how it becomes a cultural thing through
Hmm.
art. You know, the ones that didn't take those suggestions, they wound up, unfortunately, having to learn it again when they got into prison or something.
Yeah, yeah. And then they go back and say, Don was talking about that.
No, I see them on the street. They'll see
Yeah.
me, Mr. Don. You don't remember me, but I was so and so in your class during the time. You what? What you doing with yourself, man? And
Mm-hmm.
then you have a good conversation. Or if you see somebody trying to get away from you and they're
Mm-hmm.
constantly looking at you, that means that, okay, I encountered that person. They're not in a good state of being. They remember what I said. If I encounter you in the future, hopefully you're in a good state of mind, a good state of being.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't want to be in the same state of mind that you're in now. Because I was in the behavioral sciences a lot, everybody. So
Right.
one of my last positions was the ninth through 12th grade art instructor
Mm-hmm.
for the sciences. So, that's how much I feel about symbolism and the idea on how symbolism works in society and is
Mm-hmm.
able to assist a human being. And that's why, art can be used as a behavioral alternative. Because once you expose it, like there's another one I can challenge everybody with about symbolism. Go to your cabinets, your cleaning cabinets, and look on all the labels. And you tell me what symbols is there that's going to alert you to what that item is in your hand.
Oh no. Kind of scary.
Yeah, there's symbols for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Just have to be observant to be able to understand what that symbol is, or if it is even a symbol, or
Mm-hmm.
what natural phenomenon is that symbol representing. We talk
Mm.
about waves like that to the side. If I sat them upright and did the waves, yeah, let me do one of those in there. Because then that's your idea of evaporation and stuff like that, and other movements, you see. So then I would
Mm.
put that right in here.
Yeah, I could do that. So, like,
You see, and then that's the whole situation, Nadine, is that I understand, I really truly understand that all of this is part of mankind because we use it to be able to discuss, to represent, or to do a multitude of things in our society based upon this stuff here,
mm-hmm.
edges and lines. That's why I have that 5 steps for me when I instruct somebody, which is line, shape, form, light, surface.
Mm-hmm.
If you look in this abstraction, it's taken into consideration
Mm-hmm.
every two-dimensional, but then it's describing everything in the third dimension,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah. Ooh, I went off on this.
Supposed to use the symbol of your sign, of your birthday.
Oh, I gotta look that up. I don't know how to do that one.
Whatever it is. I know mine is the scales. That's why I did that. That's the Greek one.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There's different interpretations of all of that. Let me see. All right. Some of the indigenous people, I mean, you got Adinkra symbols and all this stuff. Look, even lines have a meaning. Here, in the Adinkra idea, these different line configurations have meaning.
Wow. That's just crazy.
Yeah. So just linear lines in itself can mean something if you're aware on what that's doing. You see,
Mm-hmm.
here's a glossary of Adinkra symbols. You can look through there and see some similarities in westernized symbols and things like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you see, so that's what I represent.
Oh, there it is. But can't believe I don't know this. I don't really pay much attention to it.
But no, the whole thing is that people don't look at these different aspects of what being human is and what that
Right.
meant throughout history and time immemorial. That's why if you really truly study art, you'll see that it's more than just a recreational thing. It's very serious work too as well. Because if it wasn't, you wouldn't have products. I wouldn't have this cup here.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have this cup. that if I turn it upside down, you see nothing leaks out.
Hmm. That's a really
Ah,
good one. It's not
yeah,
leaking.
yeah. It's all based upon magnets and then, different, suction in rubbers and seals and stuff. And then now it falls over, it doesn't
Mine
leak.
is,
Keeps things stingingly hot or real cold for very long periods of time. Like it's still hot to the point where I can barely just take a whole swig of it.
hmm.
And this is the I do a green tea burdock.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like look, I buy my own tea leaves loose, everybody, and then put them in mason jars. This is green tea, everybody.
Wow. Mine are all
And
downstairs. There's some
yeah, I
ups.
got the one with burdock root in it. Well, one with
Mhm.
burdock root and then one with burdock bark. It's
Mm.
two things. But yeah, and observation is key in all of that, man. I'm being honest, everybody. If you embrace the idea or the suggestion of observation that I'm talking about, where we're talking about subjective and objective movements, objective meaning absolutely how you see it, and then subjective meaning your feelings, your emotions, your digestions, your I would say your hypothesis on what something may be.
Hmm.
That's where you take that chance to do that in a subjective. You see, but then that's why once again you have the impressionists and you have expressionist painters that came
Hmm.
behind the impressionist painters. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So you start to understand how these modes of thought work together to be able to get you to see the oneness. So is art the oneness of existence? I would say yes.
Wow.
Yeah, because you couldn't have the oneness without creativity. How am I to see the similarities in something or the oddities in something if I don't look at it creatively?
Hmm.
And creatively doesn't just mean painting and drawing. You're pulling this impulse out and you're pulling it apart.
Hmm.
And you can use your other faculties to be able to get to your highest faculty, which would be all of that together to make what we call the mind.
Mm. Yeah.
A big old biochemical hard drive.
Yep.
Because where else do your thoughts go? What are your thoughts? Everybody just talks about it when it comes out or when it comes in, but what is it when it's inside of you? It's a
Yes.
liquid.
It's a liquid.
Yeah, it's a liquid. What else is it? What else could it be?
I don't know.
Really? It couldn't be nothing else but that. Even your visual is a liquid.
Mm.
You being able to see right now is based upon things being turned into a liquid, lights being turned into a liquid, or hormonal signature.
Hmm.
It's like it's serious. If you're taking the light into your eyeballs, what does it turn into?
I never really thought about it until I had eye surgery.
Right, and then you'll start to know that it's all liquid.
Right, because they took the liquid out,
Mm-hmm.
put a balloon in there or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and filled it with nitrous oxide.
Okay,
And
another
then,
liquid, right?
and
Or
then,
gas.
right. And then when the gas disappears, the body naturally recreates the liquid in the eye.
There we go.
Liquid.
Mm-hmm. All you got to do is just sit down and think about it for a little while, and you'll see it.
I,
There's
I
another.
would,
This is for my retired people and everybody or the people that's in my age group that's starting to feel scared and have fear a certain way. Let's look at the word rejuvenation.
mm-hmm,
Now, if we look at that, a lot of people have a hard time with that. But think about how many cuts or bruises and things you had internally
Mm-hmm.
that was rejuvenated.
Mm-hmm.
If rejuvenation did not work as a process, then no, we all would have been dead a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I bring that up to say to everybody when somebody says to you, possibly allegedly, that your certain things may be bone to bone or certain things may be irreversible, you may have to look into that again for self to be able to understand the word of rejuvenation. And if a scab still forms on your body, then your body still has a chance of rejuvenation.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, what I found was that each body part rejuvenates a certain time of the year, month anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a natural cycle for your liver to recycle and to make new skin and things like this.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at these type of things, you're looking at something from nothing, you can take a drawing and work on the idea of what rejuvenation is as an idea for a painting.
Mm-hmm.
These are the things I do as a behavioral therapist or just as an artist coach in general.
Mm-hmm.
Is to challenge the beings outside here to really see how art is going to really help you to be a more observant being, to make you a more functional being.
Mm-hmm.
The more observant you are, the better off you are as a being, and the better off that society or culture would be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a known fact too. You can go back and look at societies and cultures, and you'll see the ones that were more observant. Yes, they may not be here in full capacity, but a derivative of what they were and what they stood for is still here.
Mm-hmm.
And then the final part is their artwork is still here, which would be those buildings that are erected or,
Yeah.
structures that are erected.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So something from nothing, still dealing with the idea of symbology.
Yeah.
And where does that come from our world? How does symbols come to be? How can we use symbols and lines?
Mm-hmm.
How can a line become a symbol? Well, just remember it has to follow some type of natural phenomenon in order
Mm-hmm.
for it to pass by that barrier and become something that can be recognizable.
Squiggly
Because every
lines,
say again,
circle.
yeah, these are all in nature. If you look in nature, that's why you say there is no straight lines. Straight lines are perceived in nature.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's going to cause people issues too as well. But then think about it. If you look around nature, there's all perceptions of straight lines, but there is
Mm-hmm.
no. Everything is based upon a curvature.
Mm-hmm.
So if everything's a curve, how could you have a straight line? You don't. It's perceived. When you look at the horizon line, it's perceived that that line
Mm-hmm.
is horizontal.
But is it really?
Right, or is it a curve? Some people, that's the argument with the round versus flat
Flat
idea.
Earth.
Right, yeah. Well, most people, like myself, go expansive and flat.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say it's a globe. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and you would have to show how it's a globe and, how it's not. You can't show a circumference now. Circumference and globe or spherical is two different things.
Mm-hmm.
Spherical is a three-dimensional circle. Circumference is just the areas around or just the circle itself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, then you got to
Yeah.
look at the phenomenon. If things are really round and stuff like that, and the sun is supposed to be a couple of trillion miles away, then you have to explain to yourself or have to explain from seeing it when you're at a shorefront or even from your house on your rooftop.
Mm-hmm.
When you see that little globe that we call a sun.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you see it right over you, it's a local phenomenon then at that point.
Mm-hmm.
In your hemisphere, as they call it. It's not a celestial being at that point. Where
Right.
there's, you know. And then when you get shown pictures from NASA from space, from just they did the save of the astronauts and stuff that they're not letting everybody really pay attention to, but that save of those astronauts, when they got up there, you see no pictures of stars
Mm.
on nor moon.
What's up with that, y'all?
Yeah, you would think if I'm up there at one of these satellite stations, as they call it, or space stations, that I
Mm-hmm.
should be able to get a pretty good pure picture of stars, sun, and moon.
Mm.
But when we get pictures of the planet, it looks like the planet is has its own source of light.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it's emanating from the outside going in. It looks like it's emanating from the inside coming out towards the camera.
Mm-hmm.
I argued that one with a science teacher one time, and they threw me out of the classroom.
He threw you out.
Yeah, because it's an observation. You're showing these pictures, you showed the video, we looked at the video, all right, and then now the professor wanted to stay on the globe idea and how light is on the outside moving in. And I said, no, everything you just showed us until the end had no stars in it,
Ooh,
had
yeah.
no sun, had no moon. The
Mm-hmm.
sun was coming from when we were looking at what you said was our planet. The sun was emanating from there, not from the outside going in, from the
Mm-hmm.
outside coming out towards that camera that you said NASA took these pictures. I don't know, but you need to explain that. I think
Mm.
you need to show that. That's what made him mad because I said, and this is when I was at Tyler, I was like, I don't think you meant to show that video. I think you meant to show the one that had more of the CGI of the stars and the other planets and
No, you
Saturn.
didn't.
Yeah, yeah. Because I had gotten mad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm paying these guys all this money. You're in college, so you're just starting to understand taxes. So now I'm figuring out all my tax money, whatever little bit of taxes I'm paying, is going to NASA for them to tell me lies or
Mm-hmm.
observable lies.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got tired of it. You get to a point where you get tired of listening to lies. That's any human being. I want to be able to look out in the world and be able to see things and be able to know,
Mm-hmm.
not have to be perplexed because I'm following somebody's lie rather than taking the chance of me investigating it to understand what it is.
Right.
And that's why a lot of people don't want you observing or being artists because that's what art does for you. It
Mm-hmm.
makes you pay attention to the finite,
Mm-hmm.
pay attention to things that your emotions won't let you look
Mm-hmm.
in. Yeah. And there you have it, everybody, with the green tea burdock that I'm drinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
So mine's is done, everybody. That's where I'm at with mine's. And I like the limited or minimal idea. Like the whole thing about cluster and then minimal movements. So then
Mm-hmm.
what's see, are you really just seeing those colors I put in? Or you
Mm-hmm.
see all the rest? What's happening?
Okay.
And how less can mean more and challenging the idea of what less means. So less color, more marks. What does that mean to the human eye to attract the
Mm.
human?
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know if you can see mine. I'm going to try to switch it over. Here, hold on. That's mine. Let me move the rag.
Yeah, there you go. That's what you want to do. But then
Oh,
see how some of your colors are like, how would you say, dull
mm-hmm.
based upon you using the watercolor. Now I'll make some of them more intense,
Okay.
meaning more pure.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like put some more red or some more orange in the orange circle for the
Mm-hmm.
Sagittarius sign, you see?
Mm-hmm.
See how you crossed out the male thing and then put the dotted line going across from there?
Yep.
See that? Yeah.
Because I was like, what is male? What is female?
Exactly. That's what that does.
So that's what I was doing here. What is male?
Yeah.
What is female? what
Right.
is
What is
male?
right?
And it's all screwy. And then
Other
here,
one taken
talking
together.
about procreation, the egg and the sperm,
Yeah.
you
Yes,
know.
indeed.
And then I've got my 3, 6, and 9 in there too. And
Exactly.
then the question mark symbol,
Right. Because you're
we could
questioning it all. What is
questioning
that
it
at
all.
this point?
Hmm.
At this point in time, what is that? Like we could have took the color idea a whole nother way to even put it more with that. You could have just used red, yellow, and blue,
Oh, nice.
black and white. See, that's what I was doing in those abstract pieces that I've been doing.
Hmm.
That's the idea behind those, is using the limited idea, using the actual theorem. So
Hmm.
subtractive color theory is red, yellow, and blue, black, white, and gray, basically.
Hmm.
And you can make all the colors off of that. So using, that idea, we could have put that in there, like you think about what colors are important to you, and you just use those three colors as accents, like how you did. Or you
Bet.
can use full blown, taking over a
Hmm.
whole area. So you see
Hmm.
the possibilities of a limited idea to a full blown idea with the color. These
Hmm.
are options that are open to you. Then you can vice versa it. You can take the mark and limit it the mark and boost more color.
Okay.
You
Make the
see?
mark lighter.
No, make the mark less, minimal, less
Okay.
on the surface.
Okay.
That means that on another piece of paper, you may just have 6 movements.
Okay. Gotcha.
Then you can use 9 colors
Hmm.
and 3 shapes.
Hmm.
That's it.
Okay.
But see how I use the power of 3, 6, and 9?
Hmm.
Would that make the piece interesting? That's challenging.
Hmm.
If using these type of things, if they're saying that's harmonics in nature around us and it resonates and designates and things like this, then if we use it in a literal piece, a two-dimensional piece, will
Hmm.
that work too as well then? Will it be harmonic and intriguing to the human at that point?
Hmm.
Everything says yes. If I use that theorem, then it should.
Hmm.
Not all of them work out like that, but then some of them, when you challenge it visually to be able to communicate to other human beings, yeah,
Hmm.
subjectively speaking, non-objectional, existential, yeah, to
Hmm.
convey an idea from the unseen to the seen. Now look at how scientific we sound now. You see,
Yeah.
and when people hear these things, that's how I'm able to do the brick and mortar, artist instructor gigs that I get everybody.
Hmm.
You got to be willing to go in and really explain how this stuff really connects to the human genome, to the human idea, in
Hmm.
order for those managers, principals, and everybody else that's decision makers to be able to understand.
Mm.
Some of them may get, I would say, distant with you or get very negative with you.
Yeah.
Got to be okay with that because they may not have looked past the point of what their experiences allowed them to see.
Hmm.
That if I'm a manager, a lot of times managers, they'll just go with what works.
Hmm.
And if it works, why fix it type of attitude or mind state, which is
Hmm.
okay. And that's begets stagnation.
Mm.
And then if somebody wants to revive something, then if you're that individual trying to get that situation to revive a certain situation, then yeah, you might have to be very bold and on the lines of seeming like you're egotistical and
Hmm.
arrogant, really just confident and sure,
Hmm.
or in confidence and knowing of what it is that you have, control of by hand.
Hmm. But
And
this
that's why I always,
journey, huh? Go ahead.
would say,
I was just thinking this journey, there's so many different ways that you can go. Um, just piggybacking off of this idea, like the discovery of what it is you want to say, how bold you want to be with it.
right,
And,
how literal. want to be, how cryptic you may want to be.
Right.
And the same thing happens with language. You hear the language we're using. We're using common layman language all the way up to the highest levels of the Queen's English. Deep
Hmm.
language. The only thing we haven't done here successfully is gone into other languages. We got
Hmm.
broken Spanglish going. Every now and then I'll use it. We got a broken Mandarin and Cantonese going on. You know what I
Hiya,
mean?
hiya, hiya.
Chi, you know what I mean? Yeah. So we're willing. We got some broken Yiddish going and all that good stuff.
We got a lot of
Yeah,
broken stuff we can add to it for sure. For
yeah.
sure.
But
But
that's the beauty of the human at that point. We can connect through art. Art is another one of those universal languages, like how math is.
mhm,
Yeah.
yeah.
Think about this. Another one. I'm gonna have fun with this one. This is way to the left, everybody. But when you see people that are deaf and they're doing sign language, is that English?
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Or is it Spanish or what is it? If the person is from another continent, say for instance, you got somebody that's in Mexico or in
Mhm,
Panama or in the Caribbean, the other side of the Caribbean, and then you have an American that's,
mhm,
and then you have a person that's from the European Isles that's deaf, and you have a person that's from the Asian populations that's deaf.
mm.
Now, if we're all speaking from our throats and our mouths, it's going to be confusion. But what if we're all deaf and we're using sign language?
That's a good question.
Yeah, the sign language comes in different derivatives that makes you know, oh yeah, that person is Spanish. They're signing in Spanish. I've never seen it.
Hmm.
I've never seen it. I've never seen it where somebody from another nationality couldn't understand somebody from another nationality if they both was deaf. It was more so like a more cleaner transition because
Sign
sign.
languages are not direct derivatives of spoken languages, but rather distinct languages with their own unique grammar, vocabulary, and syntax.
Right,
Uh,
which means that it's universal.
mhm,
There may be some different movements based upon culture in the area that you're from.
mhm,
But one movement all through it, no matter what the different movement you may do, I've seen it'll all mean the same thing. It's just that you'll move it a little bit different based upon your culture at that point.
mhm,
But other than that, it's a more cleaner line of communication, more
mhm,
so than,
mhm,
and they've done studies on that. I know you're seeing that online, right?
mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, they have different, some are a little bit distinct, like ASL, which is American Sign Language, British Sign Language, and Australian Sign Language. But there's similarities. But like you said, to say hello or thank you or probably, you know,
What's up? Can I have this? How was your day?
mhm,
What is your name? All these things are universally able to be checked. Like I don't have to know como se llama
yeah.
in Spanish to be able to say me llamo. I don't have to say that. I can just say my language and what my name is in sign language.
Mhm. And if there's someone who's watching this and knows sign language and could, expound from what we're talking about, we appreciate that. It's just that just looking at symbols and
No,
just
I'm not hiding from it, Nadine. See, you forgetting when you're in the behavioral sciences, you deal with that population too as well. So when I was being a special education teacher, I'm dealing with that population too as well.
mhm,
And that's what I found
yeah,
based
like
upon our
applause, you know.
yeah, all of it, yeah. There's certain small things like slang,
Hmm.
like how we say certain things slang wise, you can tell if somebody's from the East Coast, West Coast. But outside of that, in sign language, no, it's a more even, straight through. Everybody knows everybody
Hmm.
because it's not based upon a tongue. You know what I mean? It's
Hmm.
gestural, it's the body movement. So yeah,
Right.
they may have a different type of way of making the movement, but it's still going to mean the same thing universally.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'll say it with confidence, look in the camera and everything, because that's based upon my experiences of being a certified instructor in the public school system, based
Mm-hmm.
upon the behavioral sciences and what they call special ed. This is where
Mm-hmm.
all those modalities are: deaf, blind, physically challenged, mentally challenged, behaviorally challenged, emotionally challenged. All of that's within special education.
Right.
Yep. And then the other one is I deal with it with the elders.
Right.
You have your elderly autistic, you have your heart attack, your aneurysms, your strokes. That
Mm-hmm.
gives you that same type of issue. You know what I mean? That you have to delve in it to resolve it or to see some of the similarities in it. So
Mm-hmm.
the observation with sign language is it's a more pure unifier of cultures from what
Yeah.
I've seen. Because
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen it. I've seen them, I've seen people that's, deaf argue in sign language. It's kind of funny. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna lie. And I don't mean to disrespect anybody
It's
that's deaf.
not,
So
no.
understand
But you
that.
know there's an argument going on.
Right, because they're very animated with their hands and eye movements and facial gestures, and they dip, 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 and they humming, and the sounds are more intense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's not formulating a word; it's formulating an emotion. That sound.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it comes off to us as being funny. It's not funny, so don't think we're trying to make fun of deaf people, please, everybody.
Yeah.
But because of what they have to do, that makes them more animated,
Mm-hmm.
and animation to us that can hear it becomes a little comical or satirical at that point, we can say.
Mm-hmm.
You see, but they can be some funny people too. I've known some blind people and some deaf people that were very funny, man. you know, because of what they are, what they have to deal with on a daily basis, the
Mm-hmm.
observation, the point of view that they have to use. So yeah, everybody, it comes down to those type of gestures being transformed into physical movement, symbols or gestures, or
Mm-hmm.
gestural or symbolic movements on page, using lines and shapes to elude towards edges and what they
Yes.
may.
Or something or another. You're alluding to something.
No, you're alluding towards an edge. It's not towards. Yeah, I'm agreeing with what you're saying, Nadine, but it's still alluding towards an edge of whatever that something could be.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? Because if everything in our world here is based upon edges and we translate those edges into lines, then that means that when we make lines, it's an edge of something out there until we say what that edge is.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it's a diagonal line, but is that a part of a rooftop? I don't know. Is that a triangle that's turning towards me? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Until that creative person supplies me with those movements or that thought or that impression to help me to understand that. Oh, it's just staying aligned. Oh, this is a two-dimensional work.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the only identifiable thing I see in here is numbers and what seems like some type of coding. Oh,
Right.
it must be trying to say something to me.
What does that mean?
Right. What if I'm a meteorologist? What does that mean? You know what I mean? What if I'm religious? What is he saying by putting that there next to a broken binary code
Mhm.
written from top to bottom?
Or is it just two triangles?
There you go. You see what I'm saying? To the naive mind or to the neophyte, as they say.
Mhm.
Well, ain't that just two triangles on top of one another?
What you trying to
Right.
say? Who's
Ex-
controlling the weather?
exactly, Nadine. You see it now. You understand it. You know what I mean?
Because you got me going there.
I know. I'm telling you, everybody, if you just sit down and think about it and look around, you'll have fun. You know what I mean? You'll
I,
have real fun understanding symbology and symbolic words.
the problem is I'll get lost and I have to think about where I am. Because I was at this place called what is it? Boots Corner or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a marketplace that's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday or something like that. And so I was meeting up with some friends and we were just walking around. And then I don't know, I was just observing the movement of this woman.
Mm-hmm.
And and I don't know. And I just kind of was watching her movement and how she was dressed and she was walking through looking at the vegetables and and then the question came, is that really a woman?
Right. Well, then what did you, when you was observing what that form was, what ideas did it give you, or what observations did you extrapolate from it to be able to say, wait a minute, that might not be what it's representing?
Yeah, so it was the gait of the walk, um
Mm-hmm.
a bone structure,
Mm-hmm.
um and then it was the energy I felt.
Yeah.
And so I was just looking, and then my one friend said, um, you're gonna have to tell me what that look is all about. Tell me later. And I was just like, but I was just caught in observant mode. And
No, that's your artist side. That's what happened. Your artist side
I
came
was
out
just
like
like,
I've been seeing in all these videos about this gender thing. And when you encounter it, you looking,
I'm looking.
and because the artist in you is coming out now, you're looking and you can feel it. You'll be like, wait a minute, something's a little bit off. I'm seeing a dress. I'm seeing high heels.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing skin,
Mm-hmm.
but the bone structure on the face looks a little bit too angular, too strong. But you do have women that have features like that. So I'm looking, well, or the heels are there, but the heels are rather large for that body type.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I know we can argue that she's a ballerina or a basketball player or some type of athlete
Could
of
have
some sort,
been, could have been.
right? But you still keep on looking to observe, to assess, and
And
you're extrapolating away the rhythm of the walk, the pace of the walk, the
mhm.
size of the hips.
And don't get me wrong, when I was in Sweden, I was looking at the bone structure of the women there. The men were really, really tall, and the women were just as tall. I
Yep.
mean, these were tall Nordic people, you know, and I was just like, wow. And then it came to mind, well, I should be able to buy shoes here because I have big feet. And I would always go to different countries and I'll go, I can't get any shoes here. Right. And I was
No, you
seeing
just,
all these,
just gonna take a measurement of your foot. Like in China, they'll take a measurement of your foot and custom make your shoe right there.
oh yeah, well they'll do that, but you
Difference
know,
from westernized civilization to third world idea.
hmm hmm
Because what's gonna happen is if we go there, like how you're saying, and you don't know the sizes and metrics and things like this, can you get foot apparel?
oh yeah. But I'm saying have it in my size. Usually
Right,
it's
that's
not
what I'm
my
questioning.
size.
Because you're saying that if you go to the other country where it's not really like westernized and they have small things like Nikes and certain type of brands, you may not get your size,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because most of those sizes they're not going to purchase because most feet are not in that size. But
Right.
I'm saying is that when you go to these places, they have alternative places like how we used to
Yeah.
have, where somebody would be a shoemaker.
Yeah.
And then you can get that traditional shoemaker. They're going to take an imprint of your foot. They're going to do it the
Mhm.
creative way by
Mhm.
eye.
Mhm.
And then you can get that shoe. Because I've had friends that send me shoes from different places just to say it, that I had a pair of traditionally made, the Chinese shoes,
Mhm.
traditionally made the way they make the pads and all of that. And then all I did was send my size measurement to my buddy. that was, over in China, in the military.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing. And then most of the things that we get made is made over there.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to get things cheaper, even the name brand things cheaper
Yeah.
over
Sometimes you
there.
can get some really good deals.
I get it sent back to me, like in Korea, you
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean, the Philippines. So you got Marine Corps bases there, and I got friends and family members that have been to those areas, and then you can take advantage of that
Mm-hmm.
because it's way cheaper when you buy a pair of Nikes that way,
Mm.
opposed to buying them when they hit the States.
Even medicine.
Everything,
It's
because
so
we've
so
become
amazing.
a import town, an import country, not an export country. We're importing things.
Yeah.
That's the problem now. We don't have a gross anatomy product that we sell anymore, other than
Mm.
entertainment.
Mm. Yeah.
That's our, product is entertainment, physical entertainment,
Mm.
and music.
Yeah, we have that. Yep.
So, all
Wow.
right,
Full
abstract.
circle. We finished talking about shoes and how I'm trying to get shoes. But it is yet another day with something from nothing. And this one was definitely, I didn't know we were going to go here, but Don, we went there. And we want to just take the time to thank everyone for joining us today at Let's Paint and Draw Along. And if you would like to support us, there are many ways you can support us. You can support us by um, purchasing a t-shirt, something like this. When your eyes are open, it's on because it will be on when your eyes are open. And then there's another one. This one, I like this one because of the eyes. When your eyes are open, it's on. Now, the link to the Printify site where you can get a t-shirt similar to that or some of the other ones that Don has created is in the description or in the show notes. So definitely take a look there. And also, if you want to support us a different way with a membership, you can join us at Patreon. And we have a link in the description there for that. And you can become a member, and that will definitely help us out. If you're interested in taking private lessons, or hiring Don as a commission to do commission work or purchase any of his other pieces or just reach out to him. He has a G page, and that link is also in our show notes. We want to thank you for joining us today. We went a little further, but we appreciate you and we want to keep you excited about
And
creating.
creating. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So keep creating, everybody. Have a wonderful week, and we look forward to seeing you again real soon.